It says Vilagnesha is the Sanskrit. Say again? Oh, I just got on? You didn't catch all that other stuff? Poor people, huh?
You might want to repeat that with the Lagnesh. That was pretty important.
Well, but did you see how it was totally, fully involved in every situation? It wasn't just, I was saying, well, from way over here it's aspecting. It was fully involved in yoga with one of those planets.
Say it again.
Because we saw that the Lagna was involved every time. We're not going to go through. Let's go ahead.
Did you bring this Lord of the 10th house being strong?
I didn't go into it. There's, with longevity calculations, the 10th Lord is very important. It's 1, 8, and 10. And so there's some aspect of that 10th house in there. Here it's talking particular Mahavyadi, great disease. I haven't played around too much with the 10th house. We can go, let's go real fast, go back through all the charts.
If you see something that says like that it's strong.
Here, look, 10th Lord is exalted. Let's just go through the charts. And,
No, I'm
yeah.
just asking you a technical question.
Okay.
Based on what you've learned from Sanjay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite see the Sanskrit what word they use for strong. But how does Sanjay normally assess if a planet is strong?
It depends strong for what. So, yeah.
Parmadipe Baladye, just as Baladye. Like it's got
Has Bala. But we saw right there, the first one. Go through all the examples. Let's just check. Because maybe I checked and I don't remember, but I didn't write about it. So is this the next one? So we saw the 10th Lord in the first example was exalted. Here, it's debilitated. So there it was a malefic exalted. Here it's a benefic debilitated. Let's go down and see the next one. See, there's examples, they teach you exactly what it means if we just look. Here, it's Mercury, and Mercury is with the Sun. Does it have any, it has an aspect of Saturn.
Maybe the 9th house placement is considered a strong place.
For Mercury, at least from the last two charts, it was a weak benefic and a strong malefic. So this, because it's a benefic, I'd look for it to be weak, just from the last two examples. And here Saturn's is aspecting it. Otherwise, it's not strong or weak per se. It's also Lagna Lord.
Or is it in the Navamsa?
What's the degree? It's in the 7th Navamsha from.
Oh, sorry, it's not.
It's in
22
Cancer
degrees
Navamsha.
Taurus,
So it
22
doesn't
degrees Taurus.
it doesn't look too afflicted. It's not incredibly strong. It's not incredibly weak in this case. Let's look at the next one. Ah, how close is the Sun? It's combust. So the benefic is weak. Okay. And let's look at the next one. Sun.
Was that person, you had a hysterectomy because of cancer, but were they really, did they almost die and all that?
The hysterectomy, she didn't almost die, but she's definitely a very traumatized woman. She's 20-something, 25 or something now. And first she had her uterus taken out, then she had her ovaries taken out, and then most recently she gave me a call. She wanted a consultation because they thought she had breast cancer. I mean, there's a major problem there. So, Mahavya, she didn't almost die, but there's definitely it's not good. And she's too young for all that to be happening.
Maybe the weakness of Mercury is a lot of the problem, because if the Lagna Lord's weak, you have trouble staying alive.
Bhubaneswar is exalted in Cancer. Exalted Bhubaneswar is supposed to be better from what Sanjay has taught.
It depends. It depends on the planet and the placement, whether exalted. Because exalted, it makes it stronger, but stronger for what? So, in this chart, Venus in the Varga charts gets really afflicted. So.
All the combinations for both breast and uterine cancers.
Yeah.
What are the combinations for breast and uterine cancer?
Mainly afflictions of the moon.
No,
You want afflictions to moon and Venus.
afflictions to the moon, afflictions to Mercury there now. There's the Venus gets really dirty as we go through the Varga charts of afflictions and debilitations. And let's look at the next chart down and see the 10th Lord. See that rule. Here it's Sun, and Sun is in the 8th house. It's not terribly bad, but it's a malefic and a malefic placement. So actually it's a benefic for relative to health. So, but in a negative placement. And how close is Mars?
It's exactly conjunct again.
It's conjunct Mars?
No, it's this conjunct the sun, it's combust again.
But what's combust?
Mars.
Mars is combust, so it becomes a very malefic. So,
Like the Lord combusted.
so looking after looking at those first two charts, to me it was.
Look at it, Mars, Venus in the 8th house. The Lord's combust in the 8th.
And the ASIC and
It's awful.
and
The miracle.
Were we supposed to be looking for the 10th?
so we were just.
Lord as well?
I didn't pay attention to the 10th Lord comment in that last thing, and Andrew wanted to know my comment on it, so we just went. And what we just proved was that if it's a benefic, it needs to be weak. If it's a malefic, then it needs to be pretty, strong to do. Huh?
We'd have to look at like
Lots and lots of charts, but that's our general,
getting some.
that's the general premise that I would continue researching on.
I've had this happen several times.
Uh-huh.
The first 3 or
Go
4
back down to
charts
the
I
quote.
looked at, I keep seeing the same combination. I start saying, I've got it. Now I never see it again.
That's why you're doing your research.
Yeah, so forget the first 4 charts.
Mm.
What are you saying?
The big thing, especially being with Sanjay, is there's probably 20 ways that I can do everything these days. 20 ways that I can look at someone's mother. 20 ways that I can look at their father. And I definitely don't have time to use all 20. So at that moment in time, where is my mana choosing, which technique is my mana choosing to use?
You're being guided by your mantra, David.
And so hopefully the mantra Devata should guide my mind to use the correct technique for the moment. So in a way, all of them work, none of them work. But so at the time that you're studying the technique, you get the charts that work. If you understand the principles and you remember the technique at the right time, you'll use it.
In other words, if you're not doing mantra, you're in the wrong place.
If you start looking at Jyotishis who do mantras and Jyotishis who don't do mantras, and you listen to them talk, you look at their Jyotish, it's just, this is Devagya. We're trying to have the knowledge of the Devas. And if your mana is wandering all over the place just on human affairs, then how's it ever going to have the knowledge of the Devas? So mantras, they're key, and especially studying Parampara Jyotish. It starts with the mantra. So, but that's my, and I know that's like throwing it out there, but like you'll use the right technique but there are rules, there are the foundations that the rules are based upon. And to even start cracking in these nadis, you really have to make sure that you have some idea of your foundations, or else this means nothing. The verses mean nothing because they're just a pure example. Okay, manifestation of disease, our lovely Rogapada. Okay, we went into some of that already. Let's keep going down. One thing Guruji said, Rogapada in the 4th house makes a good doctor. Very interesting. In the house of cure, so somebody who's always worrying about a cure. I have it, so I know I'm always sitting there wondering, I got to make sure I get this right. I have a perfectionist nature.
What about in the 10th?
In the 10th, you're worrying about your career, you're worrying about respect, you're worrying about those 10th house things. And it's going to be opposite. When we use Arudas, everything is always in an axis. So it'll be good as a healer, but it'll be more the business end of that.
So is Rogapada guilt as well as worry? Or?
Guilt. Can we say it's guilt? Oh.
Sad is more guilt.
No, it's a karka by Saturn, so it's the manifestation of guilt. I didn't say that, but any of the real significations of Saturn and the 8th house are going to be manifest through the, or the 6th house are going to be manifest through the Rogapada. So, what does guilt look like, though?
Well, that's what we're asking.
Yeah, no, but what does guilt? So it's if the manifest. You see, guilt is a feeling. When we're looking at arudas,
Conscience.
conscience. But like physically, what does guilt look like on a physical level? Huh?
It doesn't exist in a physical
No,
level.
guilt is mainly unconscious. So
Yeah.
It's a kind of depressive.
You see, the thing is when we worry about something, like worry is a feeling, but what worry tends to be is we're doing something excessively and the activity becomes something that the mind it begins to obsess about in a way consistently and focusing on that, and certain actions derive from that. So all I'm saying is it will show guilt, but you have to first understand what does guilt look like physically. And then you can see how the Rogapada is going to show guilt.
well, you can't ask the question what does guilt look like physically, because
If-
it can manifest in many different ways. I think guilt is the crux of disease, is due to unconscious guilt.
Mhm.
That's why I'm
So
saying-
if it's disease, it's coming from guilt, then it'll be seen as the Rogapada.
Guilt arises because we haven't been true to our conscience. So we feel guilty because we haven't been true to what is true. We are guilty.
One thing when we're looking at Arudapadas, we can see them.
Right. But can we say that guilt is that the Rogapada is the significator of guilt, or what's?
No. Saturn's a significator. Significators are all back to the 9 planets. And then everything else evolves from those 9 planets. We start looking at the houses, and the first house, it's connected to the sun. And then we look at all the significations of the sun. And then we get a little deeper, but everything is based on the 9 planets. Everything is rooted first in the 9 planets.
Okay, but then someone who has a configuration maybe where Rogapada has more difficulty with guilt than other folks that don't have that.
No, definitely, it can happen. But the thing is, that story is first going to be in the Rashi. And then how that manifests, how that comes up and then comes to a physical manifestation, that's seen in the Rogapada. First, we have to see the story of the Rashi. And it's something that I stress again and again because, it's already there in the Rashi. The Aruda is only just showing how it's being perceived and where it's being perceived and a story of how it's being perceived. Okay. Everybody with me? Okay. A6 conjunct the Aruda Lagna. This is an interesting one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what you were saying.
Yes.
So the Aruda thing is always, the shadow, the reflection.
The reflection.
The
Mhm.
We're never really using it for, it's not just that we see the person as sick. The person really is sick, right?
Yeah, but
It's something that I've been working on a lot, especially, writing on these. The perception and the truth. And the perception and the truth have quite an interesting relationship. Is the moon, can we say that we can say the moon has no light of its own. But the bottom line is we see it in the night sky fully glowing.
Right, that's a good line.
So it isn't real and it is real. Its perception is still affecting us fully. There's enough light coming from the moon that plants are being affected by it, humans are being affected by it. The phases are affecting us by how much light is reflecting. But the moon itself is not putting out any light of its own. So the Aruda, it has no light of its own, but it's fully giving light in that same way. It's definitely one to philosophize on.
Have you ever studied the charts of hypochondriacs?
No, I haven't.
Seen if they show up more the 26th than the other?
I would love to. That's a wonderful thought. I would love to get some charts of hypochondriacs. You have a few? Yeah?
Come to homeopathy.
Yeah, my experience, that hypochondriac usually has a mental problem, and so the doctors diagnose them with a
Mhm.
physical disease.
Mhm.
But I have had lots of hypochondriacs come to me as a mental health psychiatrist,
Yeah.
and I can help them with the problem.
Yeah, I would love to have data on that. If that's really the case, I mean, that would be
So it is mental,
that would be a beautiful example of the Rogapada. But it'll be conjunct or opposite. Remember, always work in the axis with Arudas. So when the Aruda itself is conjunct the A6, the person, disease will often be the cause of death. If you see the A6 and the Aruda Lagna conjunct, you can often know when we look at the third house from the Aruda Lagna that it's going to be a disease that's going to kill them. It's not going to be old age, it's not going to be a car accident, it's not going to be these other type of things. Don't you love my
Yeah,
topics?
I'm just thinking they're always so dark.
Next year, hopefully I'll be doing A9 and A5, okay? Lakshmi asked me to lecture on A6 and A8. I didn't choose it. But
we should try and end on a bit more positive.
Oh yeah, we're going into enemies next. At least the A8, we got into spiritual things.
Combinations for not getting any disease would be perfectly
They never go to the doctor, do they? They never go to doctor.
They never come with disease and complain, so.
So, what do you not see?
Combinations for no disease are going to be a really strong Lagna, a really strong, the Lagnesh is strong, the Lagna strong, and Jupiter strong. Were you here for the pathology part? In the beginning, I was talking about the 6 stages of pathology and the planets related to each. And Jupiter is related to that first stage of pathology. And so Jupiter is Karaka of the Paka Lagna, of the Lagnesh. And it's Karaka of D-Shakti, our intelligence. So that properly applied intelligence and the strong Lagna that is applying itself and living correctly in the world is going to be the best thing to protect us from disease. Yeah. So, and so even if we have all that good, then A6, let it try and get us.
That passage from, is it
Deva Keralam, yes.
If Jupiter is a strong Lagnesh, strong 10th Lord, if it's
Uh-huh.
Jupiter, isn't Jupiter in a Kendra?
Remember, at least how Andrew wants a few more examples. My interpretation of that, first off, based on principle, would be only if Jupiter is weak, if he's 10th Lord, because he's a benefic. So only if he's weak and afflicted will it help cause disease. If it's a malefic, then it being stronger will help cause disease. When the A6 is conjunct the Lagna, we look at the trines. That's the disease. Okay, so A6. A6, did I go into this earlier? I didn't bring it up. Maybe it's later in the paper. A6 conjunct the Aruda Lagna will make a person argumentative. Actually, conjunct any Aruda, it'll make that person argumentative. If it's conjunct the Upapada Lagna, there's arguments with the wife. If it's conjunct the A4, there's arguments with the mother. Wherever the A6 is conjunct, it's argumentative. If it's conjunct the Aruda Lagna, then the person themselves is argumentative. I have that. Now,
Here's this disclaimer for the lecture.
and now, one thing with disease, I can see from my own chart that I will die of disease. The last 6 years of my life are ruled by Saturn, Vimshotri Dasha. It'll be, I'm quite aware of the exact, year, month, and day that I'll be passing, and how much I'll suffer before. But any which way, because the A6 is conjunct the Aruda Lagna, and it makes a person argumentative. Now, what happens is, one Aruda is going to be supported more than the other. Whenever Aruda start conjoining, one is stronger than the other. And so is the Aruda Lagna going to be stronger, or is the Rogapada going to be stronger? So what happens is, as long as my Aruda is good, meaning I'm rising, I have good name, I have good reputation, then the Rogapada is weaker. If my name and reputation goes down, the Rogapada is going to get stronger. Only there's going to be one supported more than the other. Now, if I become extremely more and more argumentative, that's going to show that the Rogapada is going to become more strong, and it's going to be a sign that there's going to be disease in my life. And so this is one thing to be aware of when we're looking at this combination, that if the person, if you see the combination, the person's coming to you, they're even arguing with what you're diagnosing them with, then you can see that it's going to be pretty bad. And trying to, we'll talk about remedies to the A6 towards the end. That's what we'll end. We'll end with remedies to the A6. And
wonderful person in Ramayana who says that, I think Sita says this. She says that if a person does not take, if you give them good advice and they don't take it, the end is near.
The end is, Sita says that in the Ramayana. Because Guruji always says that verse, you know. He says if they don't take the good advice, it's their bad times coming, so.
It says their end is near.
Their end is near.
With specific reference to Ravana, of course.
You think you could find that verse, huh?
Could enjoy reading through the whole line.
Just in case you had it set aside.
I might find it.
Okay. If you ever do, just, let me know where it is.
So maybe if you took a vow that you would never argue with anyone, you might
Live forever.
die happily. Or live forever, yeah.
Or live forever. Living forever is not going to be a...
It's not really on the menu, but
It's-
you could avoid this.
I missed all your lessons.
But the thing is, less argumentativeness will help my Aruda be stronger, and it'll make me healthier, because the Rogapada will be weaker. And this is in case with all Arudas. We see Aruda Lagna and Upapada Lagna together. One's going to be stronger than the other. And so if there's a power conflict between the two people, then there'll be a problem. If one person can accept to be weaker, and the other person stronger, then there's no problem. So,
If they're conjunct, they're both falling in the same rashi.
yeah.
How do you go about assessing which is stronger?
Okay, go down, because I talk about it at some point here. No planet. I'll get back to that, okay? When I have, because I have maybe I don't have an example, but I do mention it. Okay, I'll just explain. Generally, okay, so as we are, especially this weekend, we learned that some Arudapadas are good and some are bad. And some are strong by being more malefic, and some are strong by being more benefic. So what happens is, for example, I'll use my chart as the example. I have A6 and Aruda Lagna in the 4th house. Now I have Mercury there and the Sun there. So the benefic planet is going to support the benefic Aruda. The malefic planet is going to support the malefic Aruda. And so if the Sun is stronger, then the Rogapada is going to be more supported. If Mercury is stronger, then it's going to support the Aruda Lagna. So generally I want to try and strengthen Mercury as well. Now if only Mercury was there, then it'd be an easy say that the Aruda is being more supported. If Rahu was there, then the Rogapada would be more supported. So we look at the planets connected. If there's no planets there, we look at planets aspecting. No planets aspecting, we look at the Lord of. So it's going to be malefic, benefic, and the whole situation. And that's going to be with all Arudapadas. All Arudapadas. If it's two benefic Arudapadas, then we have to start looking at the karakas, what the significations are. And like, for example, Mantrapada. Now, if Jupiter's there, it's strengthening the significations of Mantrapada relative to mantras and spirituality. But if Venus is there, it's strengthening the significations of Mantrapada relative to romance. If we have A5 and A7, which one is Venus going to support more? Because Venus is, it's having a slight karaka relationship with A5, but more with A7. So A7 ends up being stronger. And if Jupiter is there, then so we start looking at it relative to, pretty simple, yes? And aspects if no planets are there, signs if, yeah. Okay. A6 has Saturn as karaka, shows punishment we get from our ill actions. Let's go down. Image of the enemy. Yay, we're done disease. Well, almost. I talked about this already. Go down. Okay, yeah, just, no, where are you going?